Hi there, welcome to the latest episode of my 10-minute moan. The topic of this 10-minute moan is quite a bizarre story that the SNP have asked their MSPs, based in Scotland, if they would give up spare rooms or empty flats that they have for their staffers that normally work in Westminster so they can come up and campaign during the election campaign. Now, I've been telling folk for months these crackpots have got no money and we could potentially bankrupt them if we tactically vote them out. And if anybody needs more evidence that I'm right, this is a cracking pointer. Okay, so the story is covered by the Express, who headline says Hard Up SNP asks MSPs to put up campaigners to avoid hotel costs during the general election campaign. Nationalists have been asked to open their homes to Westminster staffers in a bid to boost SNP general election campaign. The party has asked its Holyrood contingent to provide a spare room or property for workers coming up from London ahead of the July 4th vote. It's led to opponents joking the Nats had to resort to sofa surfing to avoid accommodation costs. The SNP money worries are well documented, and leader John Swinney recently admitted they would need to rely on party members to raise funds, with big donations drying up. The latest accounts recorded an £800,000 loss in the last financial year, while many SNP candidates have resorted to launching crowdfunders to afford their campaigns. It's also been suggested that the party has cut back on social media adverts as cash flow issues bite. The Daily Mail reported that an agenda for a meeting of an SNP parliamentary group at Holyrood included the appeal for spare rooms. It read, urgent plea for anyone who can provide accommodation, spare room or flat to staffers for Westminster for 6 weeks. Please tell Ange Harad, ASAP. Don't know what Ange Harad is. ANGHARAD. Somebody's nom de plume maybe. So dozens of workers will head back to Scotland after Parliament has been dissolved on Wednesday night, which was last night. Scottish Conservative MSP Douglas Lumsden quipped, we all know that the SNP have financial problems, but I didn't think they would resort to sofa surfing to force their paid staff to campaign for them. We previously told how an election defeat could have a devastating impact on party finances. The SNP stand to lose around £700,000 in short money in the Commons if polls are correct and the number of MPs drops to the mid-teens. They'll end their story. Now, the short money, this is £1.2 million worth of money that the SNP get for their 48, is it currently? Or no, nobody's got MPs now, I suppose. Parliament's been dissolved, but they had 48 or 49 MPs, and that equated to £1.2 million from Westminster every year to help them run their party. So, if they half that, they go down to 23, then that would obviously come down by half. It's a direct number, it's not hard to work out, but obviously the early polls before the election was called were suggesting that they might be sort of 25-ish. So I was working on the basis if we could half it, from 48, 49 down to 24, then that would be a result. But most recent polls, some of them have got them down at 15, 16. I've seen one as low as 11, and one suggested they would get single figures. Now, I would love that, but I don't know how practical that is as a theory. But the more losses, the better, because their short money will, obviously, if they half, it will half. So, if as the Express are saying here, if we got it down to high teens, then they would lose £700,000 off it. But the other thing that the Express haven't mentioned is what they call their ministerial levy. And on the accounts are publicly available. You can Google them and you'll find them. Where it has income, there's I think it was note number 7 on last year's accounts. When you go down to the notes in the accounts, it shows you where some of the incomes come from, and there was things there like donations, raffles, but they make about 10 grand a week, something mad amount of money on raffles, right? I don't know how that's possible, but they have this ministerial levy, and it was about four or 500 grand, say 400 grand for easy talk, and that's money they take off all their MSPs and their MSPs, and I don't believe another party do this. They've done this for a while. So that stacks up their income, but obviously to lose MPs, they're going to lose a portion of that as well. Now, I would guess if they're right, the Daily Express are right with their mid-teens guess, where they'd lose 700 grand of short money, could probably lose 200 or 300 grand of that out their levy as well. So it's not mad to think that this election could affect the SNP's income by close to £1 million if Scots tactically vote. Now, that's not just £1 million one hit. Parliament could be sitting for 4 years. It's a big, big hit. And then, if we're clever and we repeat that process when the next elections happen in Holyrood, which will be 2 years maximum away, it could happen earlier for a number of reasons, but it will need to happen within the 2 years. 2 years is the maximum. Then we repeat and do the same at the Holyrood elections. Obviously, there's no short money at the Holyrood elections, but there is the ministerial levy. And I genuinely believe between the two, we could hit them for over 7 figures every year. They wouldn't survive. I don't believe it's possible to survive. So it's great to hear the mainstream now not only confirming my belief of their money issues, but looking into the short money and how this could really affect the party. So they spent something like, was it £500,000 on their 2022 conference? They'd had remote ones for a couple of years because of COVID, but in 2022 they went back to a normal full conference. Spent £500,000. Again, if they've not got money to do it, they'll end up in the town hall somewhere with a couple of influencers videoing it for them. So that's the way, and I'm going to keep driving this, and I'm keep driving it. This is how important it is, not just to unionists like me, who these people have, ruined the country for. Also nationalists, who they've ruined their dreams of independence. Nationalists don't have a route to independence now in front of them. So I don't think there'll be many of them. Only the proper cult, right? There's a percentage of people who have voted SNP over the last number of years who will just never do anything other than vote SNP. You know the types you see in social media that they defend them at the hilt all the time. And every time you talk about Matheson, they want to talk about Michelle Mone, right? They just will not hear a bad word said about their party because they're so taken aback with this cult ethos that the SNP have had. See them, they're just voting for SNP, and I see it every day, more and more people who have been SNP and independence supporters. Now, some people are actually going off the idea of independence, but those who still have dreams for independence and are level-headed, normal-thinking people go, SNP's finished. They ain't going to, Swinney, a week into the election campaign, has still not given his version of what's to happen with this de facto referendum that Sturgeon promised. And I can't remember the terminology Humza used, but he changed the rules a wee bit and it went from the majority of votes to the majority of seats. That would give them a mandate for going for another referendum. So he worded it slightly different and gave himself an easier target, I hasten to add. But Swinney said nothing. So I'm going to do another video about Mary Black, back to the back of this one. Might put the Mary Black one out first, actually. And she's even admitting there's no route for independence on any SNP manifestos. So, if you're a level-minded nationalist that wants independence, excuse me, and they're not showing you a route to independence, why would you vote for them? So, they've got 3 types of people: nationalists, unionists, and cult members. They're the only ones that will vote for them, or should vote for them, because even the nationalists are going, you're certainly getting this. So there you are. If anybody, I'll do, here's a party political broadcast by Craig Houston on behalf of the SNP. If you got a spare room, so this is, these people in previous elections, I can imagine, would have been put up in hotels and stuff like that. This just gives you a cracking barometer about how skint these bams are. And one of the best excuses for it is, we don't take corporate bribes. I'll translate that. That actually means we don't get any corporate donations. And they try and make that look bad against parties that have taken corporate donations. SNP were taking corporate donations when Stagecoach was funding them by 7 figures. That was all right then, right? So you know that there's nobody touches them. It's suddenly we don't take corporate bribes. We just rely. We're a member-run organisation. We're a Skint member-run organisation. So you ain't going to virtual signal your way out of this one. Virtue signal your way out of this one. So if you enjoyed the video, give it a thumbs up, please. And if you've not already done so, please consider subscribing. And as usual, at the end of my videos, as long as you are not John Swinney, any of the remaining cult members that are still supporting SNP, everybody else, have a great day. Cheery bye now.